All right, let's talk about something that I bet feels pretty familiar to almost everyone. You know that feeling at work? The constant pressure? Feeling like you're being pulled in a dozen different directions all at once? It just feels like chaos, right? Well, what if it's not? We're going to explore an idea today that might just change how you see your work completely.
I mean, it's just a fact of life now, isn't it? The pace of work is always speeding up. Every single quarter, every year, the demand is to get more done, faster, better. It's like being on a treadmill that's just constantly picking up speed.
And it's not just about speed, is it? The things we're working on, the problems we're trying to solve, they're all getting so much more complex. You have more moving parts, more dependencies, which means, way more ways for things to go sideways.
And the cherry on top? Priorities are constantly shifting under our feet. What was the most important thing on Monday is suddenly old news by Wednesday. It's just a perfect recipe for frustration and burnout, leaving everyone constantly reacting, instead of, actually moving forward.
But here's a thought. What if all this chaos, all this unpredictability, what if it isn't just a string of bad luck? What if it's actually the result of a broken system? A system that we can actually understand and maybe even fix? So, to really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a story. A classic example of this problem out in the wild. And I have a feeling it's going to sound very, very familiar to a lot of you.
So let me introduce you to Jack's Bags. Now, it's a fictional company, but their story is very real. They make sleeping bags, and they've suddenly gone viral. From the outside, it looks like they're crushing it, but inside, that success is creating some serious problems.
Okay, let's look under the hood and see what's really going on. Jack's Bags is throwing $500,000 a year at new equipment, but their actual costs aren't getting any better. Their inventory is a mess because different teams aren't talking to each other. And their day-to-day work, it's just full of rework and constant delays. The crazy thing is they're succeeding in spite of how they operate, not because of it.
So, what's the antidote to this mess? How do you fight back against this kind of organizational chaos? Well, it's all about making a shift away from accepting randomness and toward a really powerful idea that brings predictability back into the picture.
And that solution is called deterministic process design. Now, it sounds a little technical, I know, but you can think of it as the secret sauce for engineering predictability right into the way you work. It's about turning that chaotic, tangled process into a clean, well-oiled machine.
So what is deterministic process design, or DPD for short? Well, at its heart, it's a way of designing work that squeezes out all the randomness. The whole goal is to make your outcomes totally predictable, because they're driven entirely by the inputs you control. It's kind of like baking a cake, right? If you use the exact same ingredients, the same measurements, and the same oven temperature every single time, guess what? You get the exact same delicious cake. DPD is just applying that simple cause and effect logic to your work.
Now, this is a really, really important distinction to make. Being deterministic is not the same as being fatalistic. Fatalism is when you just throw your hands up and accept the randomness. You're just hoping for the best. Determinism is the absolute opposite. It's the active, intentional pursuit of predictability. It's about taking back control.
But here's the thing. This isn't a magic wand you can just wave on your own. To really make this kind of change stick, you have to get the right people in the room, all pointing in the same direction. Real, lasting change stands on what you can think of as a three-legged stool. You absolutely need all three. First, you need the formal leader. That's the person with the authority and the budget. Second, you need the informal leader, the person everyone trusts, the technical expert who has social influence. And third, you need the individual contributor, the person who's actually on the ground doing the work, who knows the real story. Take away any one of those legs and the whole thing falls over.
In that formal leader, they need to have something the DPD framework calls juice. And this isn't just about having a fancy title. Juice is the real, actual power to knock down those organizational silos, to challenge the status quo, and to greenlight the changes the team comes up with. Without someone who has the juice, even the best ideas just fizzle out.
Okay, so you've got your team, you've got the philosophy. But why does this really matter to the business? Well, because all that randomness we talked about, it's not just annoying, it is incredibly expensive. It creates these invisible drains on your company's resources.
This is the question that every leader, every team should be asking themselves, because I promise you, in almost every process that isn't deterministic, there is money just being left on the table. And we call this value leakage.
So, What is value leakage? Well, think of it like an invisible drain on your business. It's that gap between the value you could be creating and the value you actually are. It's all the profit, all the efficiency, all the opportunity that just gets lost in the noise of a chaotic system. It's just dripping away, unnoticed, every single day.
And this leak usually shows up in three main ways. You've got revenue leakage, think unbilled hours or missed renewals. Then there's contractual leakage, things like penalties or giving away too much in discounts. But the most dangerous one, the sneakiest one, is timing and decay. This is the cost of delay. See, value isn't permanent. It can literally evaporate while work is just sitting in a line, waiting. A hot lead goes cold, a market window closes. This is where chaos quietly costs you a fortune.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but it also sounds kind of huge, a little overwhelming. Where do you even begin? Well, the good news is you don't have to boil the ocean. This whole journey can start with one small, very focused first step. And here it is, a simple 4-hour workshop. That's it. You start by creating a ranks-off environment where everyone can speak freely. Then you just map out how work actually gets done today.
Oh, like the Post-its we used to use or the new online version. We just used to spend some time talking about our value vision and that golden circles thing we did at our last team meeting, right? Or is this just more talk?
It's an incredibly powerful way to start. Because in the end, that's what this is all about. It's about what this quote says, getting from where we are to where we want to go together, predictably. It's not some top-down command. It's a shared journey to a much seener, more effective way of working.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to mull over. Now that you've seen the hidden costs of chaos and those invisible leaks of value, what is the real price your organization is paying every single day for doing nothing?